world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Año nuevo, los mismos Extra Value Meals en McDonald's. Ahora te puedes llevar 2 snack wraps y papitas y una bebida mediana por solo $8. Solo por tiempo limitado. Precios y participación pueden variar. Los precios pueden ser más altos en Hawaii, Alaska y California y con entrega.
No question about that. It's supported by you, our listeners, through patreon.com/NQAT pod, where you can get access to our weekly ad-free bonus episode talking about football around the Premier League and Europe. Welcome to No Question About That. What a busy week. I'm with Dominic today and we're going to talk transfers, and more transfers, I think. Dominic, how are you doing?
I'm good, Ed. Not quite fatigued from the transfer window. It's only been open for about 4 days, though, so there's always time.
There is always time. It's a weird transfer window this year because of the World Cup. FIFA Club World Cup, I should say, not the real thing. So we're open till the 14th of June and it shuts for a while until after the Club World Cup is over, and then we open again until September. And I don't know whether that stimulated United's rapid activity in the market or not.
Or the fact that they finished 15th, that might have stimulated their activity in the market.
There's that too, yeah. Lots of theories going around. So is this United just being efficient in a way that just we can't compute because we've had 10 years of absolute chaos, including years where we've apparently chased like every player on the fucking planet and then made a bid on the last day of the transfer window, that kind of thing. But hey, is this efficiency? Is this desperation? Or is this showing Bruno that we actually have ambition? All of these things, I don't know. So where do you want to start? There is a deal absolutely done, which is Matteus Cunha from Wolves. United have paid the £62.5 million release clause. It will be paid in 3 instalments over 2 years. So one now, one next summer, and then one at the beginning of the window in 2027. Not great from a cash flow point of view, but probably the best deal we could get without paying extra. So what are initial thoughts on Cunha?
Yeah, they wanted to spread the fee out a little bit more, didn't they? But Wolves didn't allow that to happen, which I think is fair enough from Wolves' point of view. You don't have a release clause and then allow people to sort of do what they want with the payments. That's not really how it works, is it? United have paid and have released him from his contract, and it's hard not to think that this is a really good signing. I've spoken to a few fans of other clubs, and there's the usual doom-mongering, and he's got a temper on him, he's got a disciplinary record. I mean, he got sent off once last year. I don't know if that's a disciplinary record to be concerned about. I'm more concerned about the 15 goals he scored in the Premier League and the fact that he fits quite perfectly hand in glove into the system, right? Yeah. That left 10 position is a problem. Is even more a problem if and when Garnacho leaves. And Cunha just seems perfect for it. It's hard. I'm trying to think of reasons why this might not be a good signing, because I've sat here in the past on United podcasts over the last 5-6 years and thought, this is a good signing. He'll fit in this way. This is a good window. United look to be doing roughly the right things. So there's that devil on my shoulder about Cunha, but it does seem to make a lot of sense. And I think that it's a really good start to the window to get that done and out of the way really early. Yeah. And set the tone for the rest of the window. And like you said, maybe show Bruno and others that we're serious and that we've got a plan. And that plan's been executed quite efficiently so far in time for pre-season, and Amorim's embedding Cunha into all of his plans and ideas. So, yeah, I'm giving it a 7.5, maybe even 8 out of 10 as a signing, I think.
I mean, look, the eye test tells me it's perfect, right? He's a very talented player, always has been. He's reinvented himself twice now, I think, as a player, which tells you something about his flexibility. The pushback, of course, is the massive, the double overperformance on XG, but he's done it 2 years in a row. So is that he's just a very efficient finisher. And part of that is down to the fact that he does like to shoot from all sorts of positions, and he's pretty good at it. So Alejandro Garnacho, who I guess we assume has played his last game for United and will be sold this summer, likes to shoot from all sorts of positions too, and he's just not very efficient. So there's that, right? So that is at least he's done that 2 years in a row. Before that, he didn't. I mean, he was sort of marauding forward at Hertha, wasn't a massive goal scorer, went to Atletico in a Simeone system, playing up front, didn't work out for him at all. He obviously has an opinion, or his people have an opinion of his talent that is higher than Wolves, and he had this release clause inserted into his contract, which allowed which is a healthy fee, I think, for his numbers. It's probably a little over market value, but that's what you do with a release clause, right? You can go get this person without a lot of negotiations, but here's the price. It's already set.
And it's not ridiculous. It is slightly above the market, but it isn't insane. You can't shuck out the usual criticism at United for this one. The United tax will always apply to some extent, I guess, and is applying to Cunha, but you can't grumble too much about that price for me.
No, and look, if it was 10 million less, we'd probably be going, yeah, all right. Reinders is just going to Liverpool, or City, sorry, for, 46 million? He's a very good midfielder. It's midfielder versus a forward. Forwards always command a bigger price and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not wildly expensive. In the context of United's finances, the club have made it well known that they were comfortable spending the 100 million without any sales. So, and if you look at United's sort of EBITDA figures, they are still generating money, and we should still, and with all the cuts, they're going to do all right.
You better tell sports journalism's Luke Edwards about that.
And absolutely everyone had to go at him, yeah.
Seems to be a little bit confused.
I know. Obviously, all the Newcastle-based journalists this is Mbeuno, or Mbeuno, we'll get onto, but all the Newcastle journalists have obviously been briefed by the club that, yeah, he's asking for crazy money. I don't know that they even got to any negotiations, did they? But who knows? We'll find out. I mean, we could have egg all over our faces and that deal doesn't get done for whatever reason, if he really does have crazy aspirations. But also, yeah, the confusion about how can United spend all this money? They finished 15th and they're broke. Well, hang on a minute. Our revenue is double Aston Villa's. That's why.
Still quite a profitable club, even though, despite all the other financial caveats that you can throw in there of underperformance and debt and Ratcliffe and PSR. And yeah there's still money there.
The debt's got nothing to do with it. I mean, the debt just has nothing to do with PSR at all.
No, it doesn't.
It would have been good for United over the years if that was true, right? Because it would have forced the club to have a different financial model. But yeah,
the Glazers wouldn't be here, would they? If it was to do with it,
they would have sold up, and they wouldn't be able to buy it in the first place. Yeah, I mean now we have this rule within the Premier League have adopted this rule that says you can only leverage up to 65% of your value. I mean, United are not leveraged anywhere near that, right? So, and in normal business terms, the kind of ratio of leverage that United has is totally fine. Anyway, it's just for United. It drains between 22 and 40 million pounds out of the finances every year, depending on just how much debt we have. Like there's the principal bonds, which are going to mature in the next couple of years. We're going to talk a lot about that in the next couple of years, and then there's the Bank of America line of credit, which I can't remember. There was about they pay it down and then rack it up again every transfer window, then pay it down, and I think it has like 100 million's worth of use there. There's also what they call a shelf proposal out into the market at the moment, which is just basically we will issue $400 million worth of bonds and or equity to the market. And it was kind of a signal that they may do that. They haven't done it, but this may be more equity release to Ratcliffe, or it may be they just need the cash, right? So anyway, it's a long way of saying, and we'll do a pod with Jamie in the coming days when United's financials come out. And we're saying United have a lot of flexibility to spend money this summer. And they know that one way or another, Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho and Antony are going to leave this summer. And they've already released 3 players on free contracts. So there's loads of headroom in the wage budget as well. So that's why Newcastle, Aston Villa, Forest, Everton fans, whoever it is, that's why United can spend money. And let's assume that once all those other players go, I mean, Antony, Sancho will be good if we can break even. Rashford and Garnacho will provide profit that can be used right now.
Pure profit, yeah. Yeah. And there's the other thing that is probably irritating Newcastle followers and potentially those who follow the likes of Villa, Forest, other clubs who've not got Champions League football like United, but may feel they finished ahead of United. They think they deserve to attract better players than United are attracting. The United pull still exists, and quite clearly so, given these 2 deals that we're mainly talking about today, the 2 main incomings at the moment, Cunha and Mbeuno. They both seem like they really want to come to United for whatever reason, and you can laugh at that. And there's been it's been very memeable, the United situation, and finishing 15th and ha 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 ha, aren't they rubbish? But I'm going to sound like Gary Neville now. It is Manchester United Football Club what we're talking about, and that actually does mean something in the history of the game, the size of the club, the fans, the attention, the adoration. And if you are part of that team that brings success back to United, you are a legend forever. And there are people in the game who obviously still believe that can be them. And Ruben Amorim's obviously chief among that group at the moment, and he and Jason Wilcox and whoever else are selling that dream to potential signings. How long it'll last, it probably won't be forever, but it will last for a significant period of time, I think, even without success. It'd have to take relegation and all sorts of damages to the PR, to the reputation of the club. And boy, has it had some of that over the past 10 years. So, the United pull clearly affects Cunha and Mbeumo, and fair play to them.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely true. Before the Europa League final, there was a lot of doom-mongering, including from me and others on this pod, about what would happen if United lost the Europa League final. I mean, it's absolutely true that we are in a situation where it makes a lot more sense to sell someone like Garnacho now, financially speaking. Now, there's all the other stuff around, does he get on with Ruben Amorim? There's the blowout they had in the dressing room. That happens all the fucking time. I mean, if there were back page headlines about every argument that Fergie had with players, it'd be 5 times a bloody week, right? So I don't think it's, and he went on the tour, right? So it's, and others didn't. It's not like that's irreparable, but put it all together that you can get 40, 50, 60 million for him, whatever the market will sustain, and that he isn't the perfect fit hand in glove like Mbeuno and Cunha look like they will be in Amorim's system, and then you can kind of see the rationale. Like I got into arguments with various people on Twitter, which I try not to do anymore because it's just not good for the mental health, is it? About Garnacho, right? And there's a lot of assumptions, right? He's a bad egg. Yeah, where? Show me the fucking evidence, because I don't see it, right? But
he sulked on a tour that nobody wants to go on anyway.
He gave a snarky interview in a mix zone, right? He's not the first player to be pissed off that he didn't play, and he was a bit childish. He's 20 years old, and then people get really annoyed with social media stuff. I find it really, look back to, there's thousands of examples. Anything that Paul Pogba did, or Jesse Lingard, or Marcus Rashford now posts videos of him training. Go look at the responses to that. People get really annoyed with players doing any social media stuff, right? So Garnacho's brother is constantly on Instagram posting sometimes cryptic and sometimes quite blunt stuff. And it probably helped the player's reputation if he didn't do that, right? And I think people assume that players can just go, hey, you agent, or hey, you brother. Sometimes they're the same thing. Just shut up and everything will be all right. Anyway, I'm going on a long rant about Garnacho, but there's both footballing and non-footballing reasons that he's going to end up leaving.
Yeah, but that is true. And it is a shame, I think, for Garnacho, because he's come through the club. I know he's not a Manchester lad, but he has come on leaps and bounds during his time at Old Trafford. And I really did think that he would sustain quite a long career with us. And, there have been times when he's putting absolutely electric performances, and you can see the talent there. The speed and just the pure ability to go past people. And I've been in the Stretford end, and often in the last couple of years, it's felt like Garnacho or nothing. It's felt like get the ball to him and get him to run at his full back, and that's the only way we can create something. I mean, especially under Ten Hag, that was the modus operandi, right? So that's sad that it's probably not going to work out for him, but he is just one player, and United have based themselves around individuals in the post-Ferguson era. It's been very much hang your hat on the next new bright new shiny thing, the next new toy. And okay, we're getting excited about Cunha and Mbeumo on this podcast, but we're trying to think of how they fit into a system and how they're going to arrive at a time when they're at peak of their powers and dovetail with the other players that United have. Amad and Bruno are probably the two best players in the squad, and you can imagine them playing and competing with Mbeumo and Cunha, and maybe those levels driving each other on. So that's it's a net positive, basically, even if Garnacho goes. I mean, my dad is the biggest Garnacho fan. And I think he's like an old school player in a way. And that's why I think my dad likes him. He's a quick winger who gets at people and gets you off your seat. And I think there will be a split when he does finally go. And I think it will happen this summer. I don't think it's going to all be, see you later, Alejandro, thanks for nothing, despite all the sulking. Or what people perceive as sulking, which has been on this tour. And that tour, by the way, is a lot of journalists, the inside the tour pieces that all dropped from the four journalists that went. I think that's a little bit of journalists trying to justify their existence, really, and create something out of nothing.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So then I'm doing IT, and when I go to plug the servers in, they become sentient, and they won't let us access our network unless we forward their chain emails and memes to more and more and more people, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant finds and invites best-fit candidates to apply, so you can discover talent you may have missed. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
I agree. I mean, it was a stupid tour, right? Like, the players were only half interested. Some of them definitely didn't want to be there. I mean, I think there was a little bit of sulking from Alejandro Garnacho on that one, but not the only one. There was this stupid thing where they were all sticking their middle finger up at fans, the cameras, and so on. It seems to be a bit of an inside joke. Someone has clearly had a word with them about that.
Pretty ill-advised one.
Yeah, I mean, they're fucking children as well. I think back to how I behaved when I was 20 years old.
Well, true.
Yeah, we expect like ridiculous levels of professionalism, and it does take a lot of dedication to get to this point. I just can't get my head around this kind of, reductive commentary from fans, but also pundits, that any little bit of ill-advised behaviour is somehow a signal of they're a bad egg and a disruptive influence. Bloody hell, Roy Keane was out in the lash 3 nights a week. Brian Robson, I mean, I interviewed him when he was like shit-faced drunk, right? So Whiteside, McGrath, like all of them, right? Great
that Arsenal team, the whole Arsenal squad before Wenger took over. I mean,
can you imagine the commentary on all that? Yeah. It was obviously not great for Alejandro Garnacho, one, to give that snarky interview in the mixed zone, and then to push back against Amorim. Apparently he rolled his eyes at him and like sighed.
I've done that to people that I like working with and working under. So
yeah. I mean, I've used 4-letter words against my bosses. I mean, I worked in an incredibly intense and sweary environment.
It's a product of this environment that they're in, though, isn't it? And the pressure is going to tell. The pressure of being a Man United player when they're underperforming, all the eyes are on you, and everything's been written, tearing you apart, basically saying that you're shit. And it's not Garnacho's fault that we've had a bad season. It's not solely his fault. It's everyone's fault. It's Ruben Amorim's fault. It's the club's fault. It's the Glazers' fault. How long have you got? But the players are often sort of lightning rods for criticism, and I do have some sympathy. I mean, I just watched Dear England, the play about Gareth Southgate, which is on the Lowry in Manchester at the minute, which is absolutely fantastic, by the way, especially if you're a big Southgate, sort of pro-Southgate person like I am. England-wise, not related to his United links. And just the way that portrayed the modern world that these footballers live in and what they have to contend with, the pressure, the spotlight that nobody else has had before them. The 1966 England World Cup winning team, people at the time probably could have gone past them in the street and not particularly known who they were, because they were in the newspaper once a week and on the news maybe, and that was it. Now everybody knows who these people are, and they can't leave the house without getting snaps and put on Instagram or something. So I have a lot of sympathy, and that is something, again, that these new players will have to deal with, because playing for Wolves and Brentford ain't nothing like playing for Man United. It is a different ball game.
For sure, yeah, and we'll see what the pressure looks like. I mean, you go back to social media stuff, Cunha likes posting an awful lot of cryptic stuff about it, especially about leaving Wolves. Sorry, I wish I asked the Wolves fan about that. They weren't that happy. I mean, I guess they know their place in the world somewhat, and they expected it, but he was not silent. And of course, he had that fisticuffs with an Ipswich coach and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm not bothered about that. I like a bit of spark in a player. We need it. There's not enough fighters in this squad. The one thing I did want to say about my concerns about the changes, right? Mbeuno, Cunha coming in, Garnacho, and then Sancho, Antony, Rashford leaving, especially with Rashford and Garnacho, is that there's not a lot of ball carrying and running into space. Cunha and Mbeuno and Mbeuno, I keep calling them both things, don't I?
People know what you mean.
Yeah. They both like the ball into their feet. And so we've got an awful lot of players, especially if Amad ends up playing at wing-back a lot next season, which will make the team an awful lot more attacking than it has been. But there's not a lot of ball carrying in that front line. We'll see what they do with the striker. I mean, because there'll have to be a striker coming. He can't. I mean, I know they're bringing in a lot of goals, 20 for Mbeuno and 15 for Cunha. That's a lot of goals. But there is still only semi-adequate forward up there if Højlund is going to be the number 9. So where's the ball carrying? Where's the running into space? I would worry about their ability to play against low blocks, right? Because Brentford and Wolves do not play against a lot of teams who sit in a low block. There is space for Mbeuno and for Cunha to run into, right? And they won't get that much against United. I know we were shit, but struggling against low blocks has been a problem for 5 years or more, right? Maybe less against Ollie in Ollie's team, but for quite a long time now.
Well, it was the stick that was used to beat Ollie with. They couldn't do that, and that's why they sort of chose not to, I guess. I think that Mbeuno, I'm doing it again now, Mbeuno carries the ball better than Cunha, and he does have pace. And I think as long as you have a bit of pace in that front line to mix it up, because you can obviously have the on-the-ball skills of Cunha and Bruno somewhere, and then Mbeuno to maybe do the running in behind. The question is how they're all going to fit together, because both these two new signings, and we're assuming that the Mbeuno deal does get done, but both these two new signings could feasibly play number 9. I know people are going to be up in arms saying, no, they're not number 9s, they're not number 9s. They're both a better number 9s than Højlund for a start. I mean, low bar. They could both play there. So whether that lessens the need for a 9, I don't think so. I think we still need one, and we maybe could get on to who that could be. But it looks like that thing of Amber and getting players in who can play a couple of positions still very much applies, and we might see Cunha play at the false 9. We might see Mbeumo play as a 9, and we'll see Bruno playing maybe with one of them as the 2 10s or behind them both in one of the 2 6s. So there's a lot of options. There's a lot to get nailed down, isn't there? It'll be interesting when they finally all line up together. Yeah,
well, I think the fact that they were after Delap and he's gone to Chelsea shows you the kind of profile of 9 they were looking for. That is not Cunha or Mbeuno at all. Very different player there, sort of battering ram style, old-fashioned number 9, who's also very comfortable both in the channels and coming deeper, and has a pretty fierce shot on him and all of that stuff. Very raw Delap. I'm not desperately upset that he's not coming to United, but you can see the kind of profile they're after. And it was a very easy deal to do and a relatively cheap deal to do as
I
well.
think he's made a poor decision, by the way, to lapse.
Yeah.
I think that's a poor call from him.
It is, because he could end up third choice, right? So you've got Nicholas Jackson, who's had a pretty good season. I mean, he's, let's say, inefficient. Like, he's a bit wild with his finishing. And then they look like they might even be going after Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. A very good player, very, very expensive he will be. And so is Delap going to be sitting on the bench? Yeah, he'll have Champions League football, but he'll be sitting on the bench.
He would be the first new young signing to just get eaten up by the Chelsea
machine,
meat grinder and the machine, and we won't not see him too often. I actually think Nicholas Jackson's a pretty good forward. I know he's, again, a bit of a figure of fun, but he's a dangerous player. I think he's a better player than Liam Delap for a start, so that's interesting.
He's a more rounded player for sure, and he's grown somewhat over the last year. Can we talk a little bit about Amad and Bruno? Because they're basically our two best players last season. I mean, Garnacho, statistically, 21 goals and assists, goal involvements. And it was interesting that there's quite a lot of social media, well-known social media personalities that wanted United to sell 40 goals and assists plus players, which seems like fucking mad to me. But anyway, Bruno and Amad. There would be a very good argument for saying, hey, they would be our two number 10s. Now we're just about to spend 120 million on two other number 10s. So does that mean Bruno's role next season is mostly at 8 and Amad mostly at wing back? I mean, given there's going to be a lot less football, we could only have 41 games next season, depending on what happens in the Cups, right? It's not a lot of football at all. That'll be good for Bruno pre-World Cup. I don't know. He's the kind of personality that only wants to play once a week, and if he doesn't play at a weekend, then he only plays once a week. He'll be
playing every game, and he'll never come.
But what's his role? Is he a number 8 now, or are we saying that sometimes Cunha will play up front and Bruno will play at 10, depending on the opposition?
I think that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, because 4-2 doesn't go super well, but we've been. We started last season with 8 players who could feasibly play at number 10 or in those wide attacking roles under Ten Hag. Now, obviously, 4 of them got discarded for one reason or another or moved around, and Bruno played an awful lot of football in deeper roles last season, which people still, I mean, both my eye test, but also the data shows that he changed his game quite a lot, and it didn't actually affect his creativity.
His output was still excellent, wasn't it? So
output's still excellent, and he wasn't wild. I do worry about his. It's not the passing that is a problem when he's at 8. There's 2 things I think that he has some weaknesses in, which is receiving the ball in deep areas. He doesn't really like being pressed. He likes the ball in front of him with time to play the play. He doesn't like with his back to goal and turning. Right, so he can get himself into trouble. We saw at Arsenal. Arsenal nearly scored from one of those early Amorim games at the Emirates from that position. So there's that one. There's also, he just naturally wanders into those half spaces at 10, and that leaves one player covering, and so leaves room for counters.
And that's a problem in itself in Amorim's system.
Yeah.
That we've got 2 in there, and a lot of other teams have 3 or 4. I know the 10s should drop a lot deeper and more narrow, and that's what I shouted a lot on my television screen in the past few months, was drop in. And Garnacho is probably one of the reasons why Amorim never really fancied him. He never dropped in into a narrow, almost like left midfield role in a 4-4-2 almost. That's what you want him to be doing. So having Bruno as one of the 2 8s really does leave you short, because you could have 1 against 3 or 1 against 4 in your midfield, and that one might be Casemiro, who's not going to cover the ground anyway. So you kind of want... We almost want 2 Agates, but 2 Agates who are both better on the ball than Agate is.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the utopia situation in that position. I think Agate will get better, and I'm willing to give him another year of growing into the role, growing into the club maybe. Casemiro, I think, will be bit part, and I kind of hope will be bit part next year, because honestly, relying on him in the Premier League is bringing a cold sweat on for me at the minute. So I think Bruno, maybe against the weaker sides, plays there. But against the stronger sides, you cannot play in one of the two sixes. So it's not Football Manager and it's not FIFA. I've seen a lot of these like dream teams that people putting out on social media with Osimhen up top and then Cunha and Mbeumo behind and then Bruno deep and Amad wingback. That's a lot of attacking players. Is that feasible really? If you want to play and control games the way Amorim wants to, I'm really not sure it is. So, there's one or two of those will probably have to start on the bench for most games.
Yeah, it is a live question, I think, how he's going to use the resources. I mean, I don't think we should be worried about that, right? He's got a lot of resources and he's just going to have to make the balance right. What United do in the rest of the window, assuming we can move some players on, like there has to be a progressive passer in central midfield. Unless we're saying Bruno is that, but it might have to be a more rounded one.
There still has to be legs, someone with legs.
And there has to be legs.
Pass.
Yeah. So Ugarte's got the legs, but he doesn't have much else, right? And we'll see how he progresses. I don't expect him to suddenly become Frankie de Jong or Pedri with his passing, right? He's just limited there. And I don't think they're going to go spend 50, 60 million on an Ugarte upgrade right now. But they do need another player in there. And
I think
clearly,
the priority is the 9 over that player. And I'm talking from the club's point of view. Whether that's right or not, we could debate that. I think I'm with you in a way. I think if it is Cunha and Mbeumo who are the two first through the door, okay, a number 9 would be great, and we definitely need that. But you got to prioritise, and I think I'd be looking at a goalkeeper and a central midfielder as the next two straight away. Whether you can get rid of Onana is another question. I think Amorim would do, but that's the.
It won't take much. So with Onana, I mean, what do we
20
spend?
million, is it? Get for him?
Yeah, what did he come for? It was like 46 in pounds and 50 something in euros or something. I can't remember exactly. Divide that by 5 and then times the division by 3. That's what's left on his contract. That's the PSR overhead. You have to meet that for there not to be an impairment charge, which basically reduces your weird accounting stuff, but reduces your transfer budget under PSR regs, right? So if we sell him for much less than whatever that number is, then it's a problem. And also, someone will remember his days at Inter, right? And go, yeah, he's a very good goalkeeper. Goalkeepers don't tend to attract mega fees. I mean, there have been exceptions, but not loads. So, yeah, we'll see. The other thing I worry about with midfield and defence is United's ability to progress the ball. We haven't been able to do that. As soon as Martinez got injured, we can't move the ball out of defence. And then who progresses it from midfield? If you've got Casemiro and Ugarte in there a lot of last season, only 2 of them, one with no legs, and Casemiro like spraying the ball around, and he's just as wild with it as Bruno is, right? So, and doesn't have the legs. And
for a defensive midfielder as well, that is absolutely wild that he does that.
It was fine, absolutely fine in the Europa League. It worked out for him where there were not a lot of aggressive pressing teams. He will not play a team in the Premier League next season that doesn't aggressively press, right? And that's where he gets himself into real trouble. Not that I don't think that he has loads of qualities, but he'll only be playing Premier League football, basically. And we know where the weaknesses are. So, as you said, bit part role for Casemiro, but who's progressing the ball, right? So they're going to have to think about what the balance is. Martinez comes back in January or December or something like that from injury. I don't know how much we can rely on him. That's 2 very serious knee injuries now. He has not been fit very often. Without him, I'd really struggled to move the ball. Aiden Heaven, just from a ball progression point of view, you might have him in the team straight away. He also seems like a very competent defender as well, don't you? But he's just very good on the ball, as is Tyler Fredrickson, perhaps a little, even though he's older, a little more raw and less experienced at Premier League level. So we'll see, that might be a loan. Who's going to move the ball? Because Maguire does it, but slowly. De Ligt doesn't really at all. Lenny Yoro carried the ball forward, and we saw that at the back end of last season.
Which is what Amorim wants as well. So
which is what Amorim wants, yeah. And he looks like a great signing now. It took him a few months to get. Yeah, obviously came with a metatarsal injury. Well, they said it was going to break, and it did break, and he missed quite a bit of football as a result. But he just grew as a player massively. So If it's Euro +1, who is the other player? Who is the ball progressor? So that's a concern. And then when it gets into midfield, who is the player who's going to be comfortable taking the ball and moving it? So Mbeumo and Cunha and whoever the striker is can cause the damage, right? So those are the live questions left in the window. But there is room, because if we assume that Garnacho goes for, well, the bid for Napoli in the winter was 40 million. That was turned down, so more than 40 million. Rashford, it's a difficult one because of his wage packet. I don't know how much true this is, but Spanish press were reporting that Barcelona are interested because the fee will be low, relatively, but they want him to fit into their wage budget and it's half what he's earning. If that is true, he's got another 3 years. United will have to subsidise that, right? He has a contract. I think a lot of fans think, oh yeah, he can just cut his wages, but he has a contract with United, right? So if he goes to another team, we are responsible for ensuring that contract is fulfilled. And so that is two ways that happens. Either that 40 million comes down, maybe even by half, or United end up paying some of his wages for the next 3 years. This happens all the fucking time, right? So
just paying other clubs to...
Just paying other clubs.
Cuts,
yeah. But it happens with other clubs too, where you get a failure. So it's just United have had so many of them that it should be a meme. But so I would imagine that Rashford goes for something less than the 40 million agreed, something substantially less than the 40 million agreed with Aston Villa, unless there's some unbelievable détente with Amorim, which doesn't seem likely, but... Yeah,
that's not going to happen. And I don't think it's going to happen for Sancho either. I think, obviously, Chelsea haven't taken up that option to keep him, and that's a free £5 million. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
But there's then that obligation that United now have to shift him on and to find a suitor. I mean, who's going to want Jadon Sancho on that money? He's on a lot of money.
It's the final chapter of the college football playoff.
It comes down to this.
Miami's unmatched grit and tenacity through the postseason has led them home. The national title now within reach.
They are confident. They are battle-tested.
Undefeated Indiana, led by Chris Signetti and Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza, have the chance to take home their first title and claim college football immortality.
The most remarkable turnaround in the history of college football.
The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
He is on a lot of money, but he's only got a year left on his contract, right? And it makes things a lot more flexible. So United only really need to cover 15 and a bit million for the PSR overhead. Chelsea were going to pay more than that. United were going to make a small profit. They did lose this year because Chelsea didn't pay all his wages this year. So 15, you can almost say minus the 5 that Chelsea have given us. So £10 million as a fee will cover what we need, basically. He has got a year left on that contract. Clearly, the breakdown with Chelsea was over the money, but he is not guaranteed that money any more than for the next year. So you could see a situation, 2 scenarios on Sancho. One is someone comes in and says, yeah, sure, 10 million and we'll pay him the wages. But I don't think that will happen because a 4 or 5 year contract, they're committing to quite a lot on the money he's on at United. So let's say someone makes him an offer of 150 a week, right? It's a substantial pay cut. United will have, and if he's prepared to accept it because it's the best deal he can possibly get out in the market, United will subsidise a year's worth of wages. They'll make up the difference on whatever transfer fee. That's one. That's the best scenario, honestly. It's not a good scenario, but it's the best scenario.
It's just that everybody knows how desperate we are and how we need to sell and that they've got no future at United. It just takes the price down so much. And even that's happening with Garnacho now. That everyone knows that we want to sell him, and he should have been a bit more a prized asset. That should have been 60 million, but it probably won't be that. It's United continue to create these problems for themselves by being totally porous to the media and everyone knowing all our dirty secrets, basically.
Yeah, that's not entirely on the club. Some of it's on the club with Amorim clearly having a go at Garnacho in front of everybody. That should have been a private meeting. Clearly, that is creating a fire sale environment. That and United's finances. On Sancho, the other scenario, just to complete the thought, is that United just cancel his contract, pay up. It wouldn't be all of it. It's a year's worth at 10 and a bit million. They pay out half of it and say, hey, bye. That has happened a lot in football. That's exactly what Arsenal did with Mesut Ozil. So they come to a number where you agree on the assumption that he'll then be a free transfer and can get the best wages he possibly can in the market because no one has to pay a fee, right? So it's not good for United's PSR position at all, but it would cancel out that contract, null and void it, and we'd take a hit. But the problem is solved.
We just keep taking hits, Ed. When are we going to be good at selling players? It feels like, okay, we might be becoming good at signing players this summer, or even last summer maybe. There was some positives, Euro, Delict, etc. When are we going to be smart and sell our players at premium rates like these mid-ranked Premier League clubs who continue to punch above their weight and punch above our weight? You know, it feels like that is the final frontier in the transfer market for United.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. And either squad players that we want to sell or youth players that we want to sell, we are not getting big fees for any of them. Now, they seem to have been a bit smarter in inserting clauses in some of these younger players. Alvaro Carreras, who looks like he's going to Real Madrid, that'll serve up quite a large chunk of free cash there. Maybe even Mason Greenwood. It looks like he's staying at Marseille, but he had a fantastic season.
Alvaro going to Real Madrid I just can't get my head around that. Considering a couple of years ago he was on loan at Preston and really didn't look like he was challenging for our first team squad at all. People thought he would have a sort of middling career in maybe the lower reaches of La Liga or something. And United also have a problem with spotting and developing their own talent, don't they?
Yeah. And we'll get to a point. Well, I mean, the finances will end up working out because we'll get a chunk of change and whatever. But we bought in Dorgu and Fernandez there in our squad to be used. Was sent out on loan with a ridiculously low buyout clause option, but with this sell-on clause, which has worked out. But would we have been better just having him in the squad and trying to develop him? At times under Ten Hag when they had no left back, and he still wouldn't play him.
Sergio Reguilon was stinking the place out for 6 months.
Yeah, I know. Hey ho. Anyway, that's all the moves in the transfer market and the squad. It's a lot happening. And
one final thought, sorry, just on it. We haven't mentioned any players for the position of goalkeeper.
Yeah.
What would you say to Emiliano Martinez, who I think is the most linked name in that position? I feel really conflicted about it. Yeah.
I don't love it. He makes quite a lot of mistakes. That's the problem with Onana, right? Onana outperforms his expected goals in general play and then makes all these mistakes. And that's what you lose confidence in a player, a goalkeeper, at least. And Martinez would come. I don't think he'd have a problem with the spotlight. He seems to love it. You know, the character that he is, I don't think he'd have a problem with that. He'd fit in fine there. But once he flaps at one or lets one in or does some crazy thing like fly kicking a player 40 yards out of his goal or whatever it is, then the pressure would be on and people would be going, what the hell have we done? Also, you'd be buying him from I know he wants to leave because he wants a bigger stage towards the end of his career, but you'd be buying him from a Premier League club. I suppose a substantial fee. So I'm not sure about that one. There's a lot of talk about Garcia, of course, at Espanyol. Had a fantastic season. His numbers are crazy. Barcelona look to be trying to take that option up. He's cheap, 20 million. But does that mean the end of Ter Stegen, or would he be going there as a number 2? And so there's a question mark about what he wants to do there. And a bunch of others, right? So I don't think buying a goalkeeper is the problem. Shifting Onana might be.
It's getting the right one.
Profile, right?
Yeah, the profile's really hard because I don't want a young goalkeeper in a way. I don't want this 23 to 26 bracket, which we look like we're targeting for outfielders, which is smart and resale value, ability to develop potential, etc. That's why I am semi-drawn to Martinez, because I think he's 32. He's done it for so long. The stage would not scare him. He would be well up for Manchester United, the brand and the reputation and all that. And yeah, he's a dickhead, but he could be ours. And you much prefer people like that when they're on your side. And are the parallels with when Fergie signed Van der Sar when he was 35 and everyone said, why have you signed him? and he had 5 great years, 5 elite years, and won titles in European Cups. Not saying Martinez would guarantee that, but he's that kind of a signing. And I don't want someone who we've got to take a chance on in goal, because that isn't. I
think that's fair, and unless you really believe they are generational in some respect. I mean, think about what United did with David De Gea, right? He had 6 months of West Brom bombing long throws and deep crosses at him, and all of that, and him struggling with that, and then he was brilliant for years and years until he got the yips. So
basically,
If you can find that player, then great. Young goalkeeper. I mean, look at Gianluigi Buffon at 19, absolutely brilliant, and just never stopped being brilliant. But you have to go find that player. Martinez, sure. I mean, I think the one difference with the mistakes he makes is he doesn't seem to take them to heart, right? Andre Onana does. It's well reported now that he beats himself up. And I think that's the mental side of the game that's just not well suited to being at United and the pressure that comes with it. He's apparently very popular in the dressing room, though. He's a nice character. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah.
He just can't keep goal, unfortunately.
No, and that's it. Like, those mistakes, everyone loses confidence in you. And at Christmas, statistically, he was the best goalkeeper in Europe in terms of his overperformance against expected goals against, right? So, and that's because he's a brilliantly athletic keeper. He does 2 things really badly. One, he just seems to lose concentration. And the other is he gambles, right? And this is partly one of the reasons why he had such a good post-shot expected goals against number, right? Because he's gambling on which side the shot is going. And so then he makes these mistakes where he takes 2 steps to the right and he's gone to the left and he can't get back there. Yeah, and it seems to be a problem that's never been coached out. So, I mean, my standard of goalkeeping was at school ground level, so I'm not speaking from a level of expertise here, but it appears to be the problem. And there's a few goalkeeper coach types on Twitter that I follow who have done similar analysis as well. So.
No, I just know. I know a good goalkeeper when I see one, and I know having watched that latter day De Gea and then Onana, I know a bad one when I see one, and I just want someone that we can count on, and that, like you say, isn't going to take mistakes to heart. He's going to deal with the pressure, because it's up there with England manager and prime minister and everything else, right? Being the Manchester United number 1, it is pressurized. So who can handle it? Who wants that challenge? If it's a young goalkeeper like Garcia from Espanyol, fine. Come and handle it, but you better be able to.
All right, on that note, we will leave it there, but that is deep dive into this week's transfers.
It's been a busy 4 days, Ed.
God, it really has. Yeah, crazy busy and exciting times. United are making moves, and there's an awful lot of, I'd say, COD financial analysis on Twitter. I wouldn't believe all of it. I mean, I literally have a spreadsheet of our last 5 years of transfers and the PSR stuff. So I obviously I don't see inside United's accounts to the level of detail that an insider would, but they are public, right? So I'll be doing a finance pod with Jamie over the weekend. We'll look at United's latest financials and work out some of the numbers. I don't think United would be doing this business this early if they thought they were anywhere near breaching PSR. They won't do this year for sure. Next summer is an issue, but we're imagining an awful lot of sales, which will clear the decks somewhat. All right,
I defer
we'll leave
to
it
you
there. Yep. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.